I remember it was a Tuesday. I know that because Tuesday was my late shift. I work at a strip mall, in a chain clothing store. The job is boring, but it pays the rent. By 9 p.m., all I ever want is to get home. My apartment is on the edge of town. From the mall to my place, it's about an hour by bus. I've been living alone for 2 years now. Divorce, cheap apartment near the highway, nothing special. I hate the commute, but it's still cheaper than taking an Uber every night. I was standing at the bus stop, shivering a little. It was cold out, but not freezing. Just that damp evening chill that gets into your sleeves. People were hurrying home, streetlights reflected on the wet pavement. The bus rolled up about 5 minutes later. I headed straight for the back. The bus was almost empty. Usually at that time it's packed, but that night there were only 4 of us, an old woman who got off at the second stop, a guy with headphones, me, and the driver. The driver looked young, maybe early 30s. Pale skin, dark hair, grayish eyes. Nothing special about him. Just another guy in a transit uniform. But when I sat down, he looked at me in the rearview mirror. It wasn't the quick, professional glance drivers give to check where you are. It was longer. Studying. Like he was committing my face to memory. Like he already knew who I was. I turned my head and looked out the window. At the first stop, he didn't open the doors. The bus slowed, then rolled right past, even though there were people waiting under the shelter. "You missed the stop," the guy with headphones said. There was no one there, the driver answered. That wasn't true. I'd seen 2 people standing right next to the pole. At the second stop, it happened again. People waiting, bus driving past. Is something wrong with the bus? I asked. The driver looked at me in the mirror again. His eyes seemed off. Like they weren't focusing on me, but straight through me. "Everything's fine," he said. "There's just no one at the stops." I knew it was a lie. I'd seen them. The guy with headphones got off at the third stop. This time the driver pulled in properly, opened the doors, and the guy walked out without saying another word. Then it was just me and the driver. "Where you headed?" he asked. "Maple Street," I said. "I know," he replied. "You always get off there." I couldn't remember ever telling him that. Maybe I'd taken this route often enough that he noticed. But the way he said it felt too familiar. Too comfortable. "How do you know that?" I asked. "I remember faces," he said. "I've been driving this route 5 years. I remember all my passengers." It was possible. But something in his voice was wrong. Like he was making up an answer and didn't care if I believed it. I turned back to the window. The city blurred by, stores, traffic lights, gas stations. Then the buildings thinned out into small houses, then patches of trees. We were going the right way, but something about it felt off. "Where's your family?" the driver asked suddenly. "What?" I said. "Your family. Where are they?" "They're in another town," I said. "Why?" "Just curious. You're always alone." No one waiting up for you. A cold feeling slid down my spine. It was too personal. Too knowing. I need to get off at the next stop, I said. We're not at Maple yet, he replied. I know. I just need a different stop. He didn't answer. He just kept driving. I looked at the door. City buses always have a button near the back to request a stop. I pressed it. Nothing happened. The doors are locked, the driver said. They don't open until we reach the depot. Unlock them, I said. My voice shook. Let's just talk, he replied calmly. You're alone, right? No one's expecting you. No one will notice if you don't make it home tonight. I stood up and walked toward the front. Pull over, I said. Right now. He turned his head slowly and looked at me. His eyes had changed. They looked empty. Not tired or spaced out, truly vacant, like there was nobody home behind them. Like he was looking past me, not at me. You're staying on, he said quietly. The bus sped up. I lunged at the front door and started pounding on it. I know I must have looked crazy, but I couldn't stop. The bus kept moving. It's an automatic door, the driver said. Only I can open it. And I'm not opening it. I tried the window next. Hit it with my fist, my elbow. It didn't even crack. Reinforced glass. Outside, the last streetlights faded, replaced by darkness and the shapes of trees. Where are we? I asked. On the road to the woods, he said. No one will hear you out here. The panic was total by then. My heart was racing. My hands were shaking so badly I could hardly grip my phone. I dialed 911. I'm on a bus, I said. The driver won't let me off. He keeps driving past stops. He's taking me out of the city. Which route are you on? The dispatcher asked. I read the number off the small plaque above the windshield. There was a brief pause. We don't have a route with that number, the dispatcher said. What do you mean? I shouted. I'm on it right now. Sir, are you sure you read it correctly? We have no record of that bus. I looked up again. The number was right there, printed in white on black. I read it again. Still not in our system, the dispatcher said. I hung up. The driver glanced at me in the mirror, calm, almost amused. You want money? I asked. I'll give you everything I have. Just let me off. I don't want your money, he said. I want you to understand that no one's going to find you. We kept driving. Past the last scattered houses, past a final lonely gas station, and then there was only forest. The road narrowed. No more streetlights, just the weak glow from our headlights cutting into the dark. I sat back down, because there was nothing else to do, and I thought about my mom. About her checking the time, wondering why I wasn't answering, telling herself I was probably just working late. I thought about the empty bed in my apartment. About the fact that nobody knew I was here, on this bus, with this man who shouldn't exist. And then I saw flashing blue lights behind us. A police cruiser. Its siren was barely audible through the closed windows, but the blue strobes washed over the interior of the bus. The driver hit the brakes hard. He looked at me again. For a split second, there was anger in his eyes. Then it drained away. His face went blank, calm, as if some switch had been flipped. The cops climbed aboard. 2 officers. They looked from me to the driver. "What's going on here?" one of them asked. I started talking at once. I told them about the missed stops, the lies about no one being there, the locked doors, the way he'd kept driving into the woods. I told them about calling 911 and being told this bus route didn't exist. The driver said I was drunk and aggressive. That I'd threatened him. That I'd tried to smash the window and scare the other passengers. "There were no other passengers," I said. "It's just me." The officers glanced at my clothes, my face. I wasn't slurring. I didn't smell like alcohol. I looked like what I was, a tired retail worker still in his store polo. Then they looked at the driver. His eyes were normal again. Calm. Maybe a little annoyed. Just a man at work. "Can you make it home on your own?" one of the cops asked me. "Yes," I said. "Yeah. I can." I stepped off the bus. Cold air hit me like a slap. The bus was idling on the side of a 2-lane road, trees towering on both sides. No sidewalks. No houses. Just black woods. I walked along the shoulder until I reached a wider road with a gas station. Finally, a taxi pulled in, and I flagged it down. The driver rolled down his window. "What are you doing out here alone at 9:30 at night?" he asked. "I just need to get home," I said. The next day, I called the transit company. "Do you have a driver in his 30s, dark hair, kind of pale?" I asked. "That describes a lot of our drivers," the woman on the phone said. "What route was it?" I gave her the number I'd read on the bus. "That route doesn't exist," she said. "Are you sure you have the right number?" "Yes," I said. "I remember it." I hung up and called the police. "I want to report an incident on a bus," I said. "When did this happen?" they asked. "Last night." "Our officers responded to a call with your name last night, correct?" "Yes." "Then the incident is already on file. If anything else happens, give us a call." I ended the call. I know I was on that bus. I know there was a driver. I know the police showed up, I saw them, heard them. But I also know that bus route doesn't exist in any system. And I know everyone else has already filed it away as nothing. Since that night, I haven't set foot on a city bus. I take taxis, or I bum rides off friends. People ask why I don't just use public transit. I tell them it ends up costing the same as gas or that the buses are unreliable. They nod. It sounds reasonable enough. But I know the real reason. On that bus, I was trapped. On that bus, I sat across from someone who isn't in any employee database. On that bus, I heard a man calmly dissect my life, my family, my loneliness, the fact that no one would notice if I vanished. On that bus, I was being taken somewhere I wasn't meant to come back from. I don't know where I would have ended up if the cruiser hadn't shown up when it did. I still see his eyes sometimes. Those empty eyes. I still hear his voice in my head, "You're staying on." Sometimes I see a bus pass by, and I catch a glimpse of the driver. And I check his eyes. I look for that blankness, that hollow look. Because I know what it looks like when there's nobody behind them. Because I've seen it. And I know that if I ever climb onto a bus and see that same emptiness staring back at me in the mirror, that bus won't stop. Not for me. Next time, there might not be any blue lights in the dark. Next time, I'll stay on. I'm 25 now. Still in the same city. Still in the same apartment on the edge of town. Still working at the same store. But I don't ride the bus. I cough up the money for rideshares. I ask friends for lifts. I even offered my mom money if she'd help me finance a car. Because I know if I ever get desperate or careless enough to step onto one of those buses again, and if he's the one behind the wheel, I won't be getting off. And I have no idea if anyone will come looking for me next time. I remember his eyes. I remember his voice. I remember the feeling of the bus picking up speed as we left the last streetlight behind and headed into the trees. And I remember the last thing he said to me as I stepped down onto the road that night. "I'll be waiting." He sounded calm when he said it. Like he knew I'd be back. Like it was inevitable. I still scan the faces of rideshare drivers when they pull up. I still glance at every passing bus, searching for that impossible route number. I still perk up when I hear sirens, half hoping they're racing to pull someone else off a road through the woods. But I know the truth. The route isn't in their system. The driver's not on any payroll. The official story is that none of it happened. But I was there. I was on that bus. And I know he's out there too. Waiting for the night I get tired, or careless, or broke enough to climb onto a bus again. And next time, I won't get to walk away.